Hello everyone! Today is going to be a little bit different of a video. I'm going to be answering some questions from Instagram followers from my most recent round of Q&A on Instagram. For those of you who don't follow me there, I do Q&As in my stories pretty frequently, so that's where most of these are coming from. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mary. I'm an evidential psychic medium and animal communicator here on my channel. I talk mostly about spirit, the spirit world, mediumship, in terms of communicating with our spirit loved ones who are people, our spirit loved ones who are animals, and I'm very, very passionate about educating you about how you yourself can actually communicate with your own loved ones on the other side. So if any of those are things that you're interested in, go ahead and stick around for a while, hit the subscribe button, and come back for more. Until then, let's get into it. Let's check out the first question. Does the spirit always answer the questions during readings? It's very important for people to understand when they come for a psychic medium reading or an intuitive reading, the medium or the animal communicator or the intuitive reader, the psychic reader, whatever kind of reader you're going to, we cannot control what comes through from your loved one, okay? We cannot control what comes through from your higher self or your animal or whomever we are communicating with. We are just the conduit. So it is important to remember, I think there's a saying out there, mediumship is not a dog and pony show. Is that how the saying goes? We are only the conduit. So that said, we can ask questions of your loved one. It is not a one-way communication. It's not just them talking at us. We can ask them questions, but they have free will. So it's just like if I ask you a question, if you don't want to answer it, like you don't have to. If they choose not to answer something, it's not because they're being stubborn or they're angry. That doesn't happen over there. It's because they know for some higher reason other than what we are understanding here or you are understanding here, that answering that question right now in this particular moment on the earth plane, it is not for your highest and greatest good. Your loved one in spirit wants to help you. Your loved one in spirit wants to help you heal, help you grow, help you in your grief, help you on your human journey, help you on your soul journey. And if you are asking a question of them that they know is not in your best interest in terms of one or all of those pieces, they are not going to answer your question. Now, 95% of the time they will, because 95% of the time they have a way of answering it in a fashion that will help you, even if it's like not necessarily like what you were expecting, or they have a way of kind of segueing it into a healing message in terms of turning it into like a message for you to grow and heal from. So they usually will answer a question. However, if they don't, it's not the medium's fault. And or if they don't, they will usually kind of go elsewhere. Like they will go down a different pathway with the communication, with the messaging, etc., to help you understand or to help you grow in the ways that the spirit world wants you to. It's important to understand that your loved one is looking out for you and guiding you and knows what they're doing. Like they know what you're doing. They had this communication planned long before you ever came to the reading. It's my belief that our spirit loved ones align us with the mediums that we need to see. That they kind of nudge us towards booking our readings. They nudge us towards the readers that they want us to work with. There's free will, like there's what I call free will stragglers, that will like filter in here or there. But 95% of the time, our spirit loved ones have arranged our readings. So to answer your question, no, the spirit does not answer the question 100% of the time, but their reasoning for that when it does happen is based in pure love. Do you think heaven is real? That's an interesting question. So for me, yes, I do believe heaven is real. I'm a psychic medium after all. However, I use the words heaven, afterlife, other side, higher consciousness, spirit realm, spirit world. I use all those terminologies, all those terms interchangeably. I believe they are all the same thing. Okay. I also believe we all go to the same place when we physically die. I do not believe if you are one certain religion, you go to one place, or I do not believe if you are one certain religion, you are right. And if you are another religion, you are wrong. Or if you are no religion, you are wrong. Or if you're spiritual, you're right or wrong. I believe we all go to the same place. I do not personally prescribe to one specific organized religion. I don't personally prescribe to organized religion. If you do, that's totally fine. Like, I support everybody. And their own belief systems. Do you think we will have another chance to live an interrupted love story? It's interesting. I get like variations of this same question fairly often, like with different wordings. Do you think we will have another chance to live an interrupted love story? So I understand why people ask this question. It's out of grief, right? Our humanness craves this, and our grief craves this. And this might be difficult to wrap our mind around, but I think that once we transition and we are both or all in higher consciousness, the immense love that we have there together, that trumps any need or necessity to relive an interrupted love story in human form again. That's not to say that it's out of the realm of possibility to reincarnate and experience that love story again in human form. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's possible. I've never really truly thought about it too hard, so I don't have a yes or a no answer for you on that. However, I do think the immense love that is felt on the other side between your two souls trumps any necessity to relive that. So in that way, in that form, the answer is absolutely yes. That will be another opportunity to relive that love story. When did you know you were gifted? I know this isn't the question, but I don't look at this really as a gift. I know this isn't like what your question was, but we all have these abilities. It's just some of us have to develop them for longer or train for longer. Like, some people can pick up a paintbrush and they're amazing, like crazy amazing artists. Or some of us are like pianists or violinists and we're prodigies, and from the age of 5 we can compose music, and other people need to, go to college or train for 20 years to be really, really good. So mediumship is the same thing. Some people are what we would call natural at it. Other people need to study for, years and years and years and years. But we all have the capability. So it's not really a gift per se, more so of an ability that some people take to naturally versus others who train at it. I had abilities my entire life that I pushed to the realm of fear. So as a result, I thought every single house I ever lived in my entire life was haunted. I was scared my entire life. You're talking, I saw ghosts and had spiritual experiences when I was a little kid, to experiences to thinking my house was haunted when I was in my late 20s, to the point of having paranormal investigators involved and being afraid to be home alone when I was a grown woman with a kid. I had those types of experiences. That was until my very late 20s. So I had a very fear-based reaction to what I was experiencing. So that tells me that I never really shut it off. You can learn more about how that happens or why that happens in my haunting video, or my video about hauntings, which are not real, but you can learn more about that. However, to answer your question more directly, in my very early 30s, is when everything changed. In my very early 30s is when my spiritual awakening of sorts, if you want to label it that, happened. It's when my friend passed away and started really poking me from spirit and pushing me from spirit. It's when I said to him, I told him, I'm like, knock it off, I don't want this, go away, because he was being really almost to the point annoying about it. Poking me, kind of bugging me from spirit. And so he left me alone for about 6 months. And then he started up again. And at that point, I don't know why, or I don't know what caused me to, but I said to him, fine, if I'm going to do this, you need to help me. And everything kind of roller coastered from there. I started dreaming about mediumship every night for like a 2-week period. I was giving readings in my sleep. And then it all culminated in me taking a photo of my son. He was being like naughty or whatever, during nap time at our camper home one afternoon. And when I took the photo of him from the outside of the camper, I took the photo of him like he was being naughty through his window, like behind his curtain. And next to him in the photo was a fully formed, like, spirit boy apparition. So that was my sign, and that happened during the same period. And from there, things just started coming into my path. And I found other like-minded people, and I decided to just try a reading on another developing medium. And the very first time I ever tried to connect to spirit, for a willing participant who was also developing, I made a link and I was able to do like a 10-minute reading, like right the very first time I ever tried, which I'd never meditated a day in my life. I didn't even know what chakras are. I didn't know anything about spirituality. I didn't have a spiritual bone in my body. It was crazy. So that's essentially my story. Other than that, I think what I forgot to say is I had received signs from my loved ones my whole life too. I do feel like I could have awakened a long time prior, but I wasn't ready. I think it was my soul had to be ready, the circumstances in my life had to be ready, and I think spirit was kind of waiting for me to get to a point where they knew I could handle it, mentally and emotionally. I just had so many things happen in my life that was kind of traumatic. And I was going through a lot of stuff, as we all do, and they were waiting. And looking back on it in hindsight, I think there were so many moments in time where they tried to cause that awakening to happen, and I shut it down. So for some reason, I didn't shut that time down, and it had to have been my friend that helped. How do you ground yourself? Self-care to live peacefully with your gift? That's a tough one too. I don't always do a good job. This is, I feel like, a hard one for a lot of professional mediums, honestly. It's one of the toughest parts of being a professional medium is energy balance. It's so hard. It's something that a lot of us don't think about before we get into this profession, and it's something that a lot of us don't talk about either. Energy management is so huge. It's so huge because this work can really affect our personal lives. It can really affect our physical bodies. It can really affect our emotions if we don't take healthy steps. And it's so easy to not take healthy steps, and it's so easy to not be mindful of it. And truthfully, I do not always do a good job, and some of the friends I have in this field don't always do a good job either. I love going for walks. that's kind of a new thing though. That's kind of a new thing the last like 3 months. I love going for walks outside. And I'm actually kind of nervous about that because it's such a grounding emotional release for me, and I live in Wisconsin, so obviously that's going to kind of go away in the coming months. So I'm actually kind of nervous about like some depression hitting or whatnot when that goes away. So we're going to kind of see how that goes, but that's something that I do. I also embarrassingly love like super simple TV. When I watch TV, it's not always really like spiritual or super like needing to use the mind a lot. When I watch TV, it's often kind of mindless stuff. So I feel like that grounds me quite a bit back into my humanness. So I might watch a little bit of reality TV. This past 2 weeks, I've been watching a show called Virgin River on Netflix quite a bit, which is very kind of lifetimey, if anybody's seen it. But I've kind of enjoyed binging that. Doing that sort of thing, it may seem little or kind of stupid, but it brings me back into my humanness. And a lot of people don't think about, TV or reading as being, or even movies as being grounding, but for me they are. And I know of some other mediums who really enjoy kind of like the, trashy reality TV. I don't really go that far so much, but sometimes I do, as being a grounding for them. Just because we go so far the other direction, the majority of the time, that sometimes going a little bit in the opposite way kind of helps pull us back, right? So I think that's why it works out. I also, self-care wise, my meditation practice is a must. Must. I love breath work. There is a specific breathwork facilitator that I love to work with. If you want her recommendation, send me a DM or a comment. I'll let you know her info. But breathwork is crazy amazing. It cleanses and releases so much from your nervous system, any energy or emotions you've been carrying around. I can't speak highly enough about that. So those are my favorite ways of grounding. But you have to, in this work, you cannot carry other people's stuff around. And spirit naturally takes the majority of the readings away from us. Some of them are harder than others to shed. Some of them are. I'm not going to lie. But that's why I always say I don't remember 95% of my readings, because I don't. And I think that's pretty common. Most of my medium friends don't either. If we were to remember all of our stuff, our client stuff and our spirit stuff, that's insanely a large amount of information to store in our brains. Our brains would need to be like a filing cabinet. And B, energetically, we would implode. Like, we can't. So either our brains release it to protect us, or spirit takes it from us. That's not to say that there aren't sometimes readings where I finish and it sticks with me for a little bit, emotionally or energetically. That does happen because I'm human, and that can be tough, but it's just part of the work, I guess. And it's usually with about 24 hours. Oh, and diet is so important. I know this is super cliche, and I don't mean to lecture anybody about how they eat, but I have super cleaned up how I have been eating since April. I've been doing a hormone balancing diet. I've been working with Dr. Alicia McPherson's her name. Found her on Instagram. Her and her team are amazing. It's a program. I can't recommend it enough, but I've been doing her program since April, and I've super cleaned up how I eat. I don't eat any preservative. I eat to a very clean now. I mean, not like 100% of the time, like 95% of the time, though, I would say. I eat super clean, and I feel so like night and day better. That helps a lot, I feel like, too, energetically, and with feeling more grounded as well. I do eat meat too, so in case anyone's wondering, but I feel like that helps a lot with self-care and feeling good and feeling energized and feeling grounded, is your diet and ingesting the chemicals, or not ingesting chemicals, and just what you put in your body. Not to say that I'm lecturing anybody on what they eat, but like, if you've never tried cleaning up your diet and eating cleaner versus not, and experienced the difference, you don't have anything to compare it to. So that would be something that I would recommend. I'm not saying you can't achieve feeling good like in other ways, but you might experience a much larger difference if you did try it. It's at least worth giving some thought to it. So somebody had messaged me in the DMs, and she had asked if her baby that she had lost, I believe she said she lost her baby at 38 weeks, if babies that are lost in utero or lost stillbirth can communicate from spirit. And I explained to her that yes, they can. Babies can communicate from spirit, and in readings. The difference is that in readings, babies they have less evidence to be able to give than a spirit who lived like walking the earth, had a life walking the earth. And the reason for that is that spirits who lived walking the earth, say like a man died at age 45, or a grandma died at age 77 or whatever, those people had a lifetime of evidence built up, or a lifetime of information built up that they now have the capability to utilize as evidence to give in readings, right? Versus a baby who passed prior to being able to experience life on the earth plane. Their evidence is going to be very, very limited. So their evidence might be like conception dates, things that happened during the pregnancy, names, what happened with the passing. Evidence could be things that they saw since their passing, or things that have been done for them to memorialize them. Siblings information. They do have evidence that they can give, and they do give evidence. It's just sparser, right? It's sparser in terms of choice of what they have to give. So the answer was yes, that they can come through. They typically come through from the spirit world, being carried, like, an infant would be carried by an adult loved one on the other side. So for example, if you have a grandparent on the other side, a parent on the other side, an aunt on the other side, or, the baby's other parent, so your significant other or your ex-significant other, whatever the case may be, has somebody like that over there, they'll come forward carrying. And that person will typically give some evidence as well to prove their identity, to also prove the identity of the baby. And the way that babies communicate from spirit is exactly the same way that an adult or an older child from spirit would communicate, because spirit speaks energy. So mediumship is energetic communication. They energetically blend. So mediumship is my soul blending with the soul of the loved one on the other side, and then their soul energy and my soul energy work together. But when that energy, and when that energy communicates with my energy, it needs to translate into something that I can understand in order to communicate it through my mouth to you, right? So the energy translates into an image, it translates into words, it translates into feelings, it translates into knowings. So even though your baby that passed prior to life, or a baby that passed before learning how to talk, never spoke, I will still hear words, or I'll still see images, even though they never, lived on the earth plane and saw things. I'll still communicate that way with them because it's all energy, and it's just about how the energy translates to me or for me. So it's still in words, even though they never spoke, and it's still in images, even though they never saw. So it's exactly the same as all other spirits. That's the last question I think I'm going to do for today. I'll do some more in the future. If you enjoyed this form of video, let me know in the comments. Or if you have any questions for the future that you would like me to answer, leave that in the comments as well. I appreciate all of you. Go ahead, hit that like button. Please subscribe. Help my baby channel grow. And I super appreciate all of you. Much love. Bye.